You hear me all right?
Yep, we got you, man. Got your screen too, so you're good to go.
Cool. Yeah, just real quick about me. I'm head coach at Lexington. This is my seventh year here, my second as head coach. I'm not going to go through my entire background, but some of my main influences have been Phil Light, Fred Bouchard, Dante Barti, Kyle Barkley, and my dad, Tim Cogan. So I always like to kind of acknowledge those people. Drew said he wanted me to talk about some run fit stuff. So, with it kind of being short, I'm going to try to do kind of a general overview of everything and how I think about stuff. Okay. All right. So, before we get into like anything, the first thing that I think about is how I'm going to set the front. So, I know, like, I don't know, 5, 10 years ago, like the whole divorced run pass strength thing was a big thing. To me, that is a huge no no. I do not ever want to set the front to the same side as the coverage rotation unless it is unbalanced, like passing strength unbalanced, like X over, Y over, things like that, right? Where we got ineligible receivers, then I'm okay with double rotating. But to me, that's what double rotation is. So that's setting the front to the same side as I'm rotating the coverage. Um, Basically, what does that mean is I want to rotate to the side of the open B gap, and I do not want to rotate to the side of the closed B gap. And if we're talking like odd stuff, which we'll get into a little bit, basically it's the same idea, but C gap. Okay. And I got some pictures coming up. Basically, one of the biggest reason is it just makes the fits difficult on the kids. And if you're seeing like RPO and things like that, where you're going to get stretched horizontally and vertically, then it makes it super tough on the kids. So to me, this is good, right? Passing strength is the only way that we look at things. So passing strengths to the right, we're rotating weak. So we would call this cover six, but say it's quarters, right? And this guy stays high. That's where the 11th guy, quote unquote, is, right? He's on the weak side. Okay. And I got some strong side ones coming up. So if I'm playing some sort of weak side rotation, whether that's weak side rotation cover three, or I'm playing quarters, or I'm playing cover two, I want to set the front strong. Okay. So we have the open B gap here. Okay. This would be a no no to me. I do not want to do this. Okay. Mainly because it's going to make the fits difficult. They're going to have to travel more distance to like fit their gaps and things along those lines. Obviously, I can't go through quite everything, but quick example would be basic one is say they're running power. Okay. Uh, Here's basics real quick. We got to fit off the fullback or the indicator, Y off, whatever it is, right? He goes to the right, we fit gap to the right. He goes to the left, we fit gap to our left. If they pull, we need to pull our fits one over. Okay. So we're matching numbers on that side. So you could see here, after the guard pulls, the whip is basically going to have to go from fitting this open B gap to playing the cutback in this strong side A gap, right? Because once he pulls, that gap is gone. The end is responsible for this, what is now the A gap. The rover is responsible for what is now the B gap, right? If I double rotate, okay, so he pulls, right? They're running power, whatever it might be. Normally he was fitting B gap. We have to pull one wider. He's setting the edge anyways. I have to go from fitting the A gap all the way out to the B gap, which in a game of inches, that can mean a lot, right? So to me, that's why double rotation is mainly a big no-no. And especially if I'm playing like option teams, I do not want to double rotate. Option is where you really get screwed, in my opinion. Okay. Strong side rotation. So this could be like cover one, cover three. Those are going to be the main ones that you usually see. If you like super rotate and too high, which to me would be like take this guy out, put him at trips, and I don't walk the linebacker out. I insert the safety. I make him play safety. And then I do something like this. That to me, that's like super rotation, which is how you can rotate strong and too high, which that's kind of the most I'm going to get into it, right? But say we get ISO, just general idea, so we can see why I do not like double rotation. There's like ISO, clean, easy fits, doesn't have very far to travel. We double rotate. Obviously, it's going to have to go into the A gap now because we got a D lineman in the B gap. Well, he really needs to go there. He really needs to go there. He really needs to go there. Well, this is just awkward as hell, right? So it's not ideal. And if we get this, he fucks up. He's going to have to try to make him right somehow. Or if we get something super fucked up where maybe we get this and it comes out the back door, like there's no fucking way, man. Like that's not going to happen. Now, we might run it down, right, for 15, 20 yards, whatever, but we don't want that, right? So again, double rotation to me is a big no-no. It makes the fits a lot cleaner and easier for the kids. They don't have to travel as far, and you don't get in like these weird situations of how are we going to fit stuff. Again, if it's like in unbalanced stuff, like I'm okay with that, right? And to me, if I am going to double rotate, I would rather do strong than weak because the offense is putting all their guys strong and not weak. So I might as well put all my guys over there. Okay, so that's double rotation. We'll talk what I consider even an odd space. So to me, even is there's bubbles in the front. We have like an open A gap and an open B gap, right? So think like, you know, what most people would call over. Or we have two open B gaps or two open A gaps, which, you know, you don't see very often, but to me, that's even space. Those are even fronts. Odd is there's no bubbles in the front, right? The B gaps are both closed. At least, you know, one of the A gaps is closed with the nose. Okay. That's going to be odd space to me. So like bare, mint, tight, you know, all that stuff like that down here. Okay. That's going to be odd space. Okay. Over and under to me, that's the same thing. It's just setting the three technique different ways, but it's still even space. So I know I've seen that before. If people have said in their opinion that under is odd space, to me, that doesn't make sense. There's still bubbles in the front. I still have an open A and B gap and under. So that's even space. If I have closed B gaps and I have one closed A gap, that's going to be odd space, right? And usually we're going to be soft in the C gap, especially if we're playing like stack or like mint or tight, you know, things like that, right? Where they give us a tight end. Okay. Bear, obviously you're covering them up. Okay. And you can play 4 and 3 down fronts and fit both of them with even and odd space, which I got some pictures of. Okay. So here would be an example of what even space would look like. Okay. So we got bubbles in the front, open B gap, open A gap. We got 4 down. Okay. Here would be odd space, right? So this would be like, you know, 3, 4, and there's our rusher on the backside. Okay. One of these A gaps is going to be open, right? Assuming we're playing like push, lag, something along those lines, and not a legitimate 2 gap with that guy, right? But both of the B gaps are closed. One of the A gaps is closed, and we're going to be soft in the C gap. And what I mean by that is like if we get like gap schemes, they're going to get good doubles here, or especially if it's a 4-eye, they're going to climb right to the backer and pin us down and get outside on the edge immediately, which sometimes is okay. 3-3 wise, I just did a different odd one out of 3-3 rather than 3-4, but you can see same kind of idea. Okay. Like I said before, so you can play 4 down and 3 down and still fit everything with even or odd space, with post snap movement, stunts, blitzes, you know, whoever the 4th rusher is, things like that. So here would be an example of we're playing 4 down, okay, but we're playing it with odd space. So it would be, here's our 3 technique in the B gap. Say we're playing a 9 for whatever reason, and he's off the edge. We're playing a shade. So there's one of our A gaps open. Here's our second, or one of our B gaps open. And we're playing like heavy, you know, some people call it T-Gog, right? Technique, where they're playing thick and inside, right? of the tackle. We're closing both the B gaps. We got one of the A gaps open. We fit 4 down with odd space. Okay. Here would be an example, that you see a lot of, like 3-4 teams or whatever they are, playing 3 down with even space, right? Like basically, like we're just slanting to over right here, right? C, B, open A, open B, close C, right? Like we're just slanting into an over front, right? Same thing, just different way to do it. Same idea getting applied to like spread formations, 2x2, 3x1, whatever it might be. I kind of touched on that stuff before. So here would be even space, 4 down, right? This time we have double A gaps. We still have bubbles in the front, in the interior, basically is what I mean, even space. Okay. Here would be an example of playing 3 down. Here's our 4th rusher. Again, we're just slanting into an over front, right? Where we have an open A and open B, which like 90% of the time, this is how we fit things, is we're an even space team. We mainly play 4 down, over front. We call it G. And then whenever we are in odd, wherever we bring our 4th rusher, we're just slanting and like blitzing into G. That's all that we're doing. So it keeps all our fits somewhat the same for the linebackers and the D linemen. Here would be an example of playing odd space out of 3 down, which is pretty commonly done, right? Usually if you're 4 down, you're even space. And if you're 3 down, you're odd space. Okay, here would again be an example of playing 4 down with odd space. We're playing thick, heavy, Jimmy Pony, T-Gog, whatever rules on the tackle, where he's going to be a B gap defender, right? We've closed both B gaps. Our quote unquote nose is playing one of the A gaps, odd space, right? The ball's going to roll off the shelf at some point to one of the sides, wherever basically the 4th rusher isn't. Okay. All right. Does anybody got quick questions on that before I go on to my general philosophy of run fit stuff?
Nothing in the chat.
Okay. Okay. So to me, there's 2 different defensive philosophies that DCs, coordinators, whatever have. And I've been both. All right. So you have the manipulate run fits guy and you have the cover people guy. So the manipulate run fits coach, everything to them, they are max fitting. And I'll talk about what that is in a second. Whatever coverage they're playing it doesn't really matter. It all turns into blitz coverage. It doesn't matter if it's cover 3 or it's quarters or it's cover 2 or cover 1. It does not matter. Everything turns into blitz coverage. And we are fitting the run with every available guy that we can. So to me, that's what manipulating the run fits is. Cover people, which is what we have got to, is I'm going to fit with whoever's in the box. And I'm going to fit off my coverage. So if my coverage blocks, so say I'm playing, we're play Ripla's match a lot. If I'm playing off the tight end and he blocks, I'm in the run fit. If he releases on a route, I'm covering him. So that would be kind of like an example. We're going to play the integrity of the coverage, and we're not going to bastardize everything post snap, so we can always max fit and always be +1 in the run fit. Okay. Does that make sense? I can see Drew. Okay. Okay. And real quick, just so we're kind of all on the same page, structure wise of how many gaps are presented. So numbers is how many tight end or how many running backs and tight ends. So no backs, no tight ends. There's 5 O-linemen. There's 6 gaps. The quarterback has to run the ball. If there's 10 personnel, so we get a back there, there's still 5 O-linemen. There's 6 gaps. If they run the quarterback and use either the running back as a blocker or it's zone read, they get an extra gap. So there's 6 or 7 gaps, right? And as the offense adds people into the core of the formation, by that, I basically mean like the tackle box. They're going to add gaps, right? And then if they run the quarterback, they're going to get one more gap, regardless of if it's zone or if it's gap scheme. It doesn't matter. They have one more gap if they run the quarterback. They add 2 guys, they have 8 gaps compared to, one guy back there, right? They had 3 guys, add 3 more gaps on. Okay. All right. So these are terms that people use a lot. And I'll kind of say which ones that I basically use, but you'll hear 9-man, 8-man, 7-man spacing. And really this is like old, like NFL terms that go back to like how they defended 21 personnel. So like we talked before, 21 personnel is the offense has 8 presented gaps. Okay. So the 5-0 lineman is 6. You add on a tight end, that's 7. You add in a fullback, that's 8. They have 8 presented gaps. We need 8 guys in the fit to be gapped out and fit every single gap, right? So that's where like these 9, 8, 7-man spacing words come from, is how you defend 21 personnel. But obviously, depending upon how many guys are in the core, do they have a fullback? Do they have a tight end? Well, that's going to add or subtract how many gaps there are / how many guys we need to fit. So that's basically why I put like in 9-man spacing, you can have 7 to 9 defenders in the fit, because if it's 10 personnel, and I got pictures and stuff coming up, doubles, we got 4 guys covering them, 11 minus 4, I got 7 guys left in the fit, right? So that's what this 7 to 9 means. 6 to 8, 5 to 7 is dependent upon what kind of personnel formation am I getting. So 9-man spacing is blitz coverage. What most people call cover 0, right? Pure man-to-man, inside and on top, no help at all. You got that guy everywhere he goes. And then I can max fit everything. Okay. I always am +1. So max fit is how I would term this. I don't say 9, 8, 7-man spacing. I say max fit, gapped out, and out gapped. If you heard me talk about this on Twitter, max fit is I'm always +1. It doesn't matter if they run the quarterback or not. I always have enough guys. Does not matter. I'm always +1 in the fit. Gapped out is going to be 8-man spacing. So this is usually 1 high coverages, cover 3, cover 1, strong weak side rotation. It doesn't matter. Is 8-man spacing. I'm gapped out, which means if they hand the ball off, I have enough guys to fit all the gaps. Okay. So if it's 10 personnel, there's 6 presented gaps. I have 6 in the box. They hand the ball off. I can fit every gap. Now, obviously, if they run the quarterback, I don't have enough guys anymore. Now there's 7 gaps. I only have 6 guys versus 10 personnel. Some other terms that you'll see with 8-man spacing is lever, spill, lever. So this is pretty common against 2-back formations, or like Y off, like any kind of like indicator type stuff, which to me is Y off, H back, full back, whatever, B back, whatever you call it, where you're having to fit off wherever he inserts at. Solo fits is going to be like 10, 11, whatever personnel, it's Y on, where he's not going to swipe back across, 1 back, 1 gap. We have this gap. We have our single solo gap. Sling fits I put on here. So I talk about this a lot. Slinging the fits is when I'm playing too high and I'm trying to fit it like 1 high. So that's what sling fits is really I'm not gapped out. I don't have enough guys in the box playing too high, but I'm going to try to fit it like I'm playing 1 high. So that's what sling the fits is. And I got pictures and stuff coming up. 7-man spacing is 2 high coverages, quarters, cover 2, 2-man, whatever. I don't have enough guys in the fit. Even if they hand the ball off, I only have 5 in the box versus 10 personnel. I call that out gapped. You're going to have to fit off where the ball declares. Okay. So let's talk about how am I time wise, Drew?
Oh, you're fine, man.
Okay. I'm probably half-ish way.
No, you're good.
Okay. So we'll talk about 9-man spacing. Okay, so this is blitz coverage. So these were just some of the things that I thought of that, you know, things that you can commonly use in max fit against zone schemes. So like zone read, you know, mid, wide, inside, whatever zone read, or gap schemes, or like man lead in ISO type schemes. Okay. And I'll draw this. So back-to-back stunt and echo stunt. So here would be an example of we're playing zero deep blitz coverage against 2x2, right? Man, 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 right? Nobody's in the middle of the field. We have 7 guys left. Okay. Here is the 6 gaps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's say the running back blocks out here. Here would be, say, the 7th gap. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. That should just be free safety. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys. I always got enough guys. It don't matter if they run the quarterback or not. So the first one I put was back-to-back stunts. So this is going to be common versus zone read. And I just have generic drawings up here. I can't move them because it's on huddle. So back-to-back would basically mean we're playing our gaps. Okay, and I'm just going to put him here. Let's pretend that the free safety is not here and he's over here for the sake of easy drawings. Okay, no, I don't want to do that. I lied. Sorry. Nose is here. Free safety's here. He's here. He's here. He's here. And they're running zone this way. Okay, so they're quote unquote reading him. We all good? I'm just looking at Drew. Okay. So if they run zone read, here would be the potential extra gaps is over here on the read side. It would be the wind back of the running back inside the DN, or the quarterback keeping it going outside the DN. So really they're splitting him in 2, right? Versus any kind of zone read. I don't care, inside, outside, whatever zone, they're splitting this guy in 2. The running back cuts it inside, the quarterback keeps it outside. So back-to-back stunt would be, I'm going to bend and chase down the line to take the running back, and I'm coming right off him back-to-back to take the quarterback. Back-to-back stunt. So that would be a way of defending zone read. Echo stunt is same thing, but switched. Again, let's say just easy where guys are gap-wise. Okay, they're running zone read this way. Okay, so he's going down. Echo stunt would be he plays quarterback, he bends and chase for the running back, which if you watch the Chiefs play the Bills, there was a really good clip of an echo stunt against them down towards like the high red area. There was a good clip of the Chiefs doing that to the Bills. Ted Gwynn tweeted about it. So if you want to look that one up. Gap and man. Okay. So charging gaps / plugging gaps to me is like going straight downhill, right? My gap is right here and I am plugging that shit. I am running through my gap as fast as I can, you know, when the ball is snapped. I'm not worried about scraping over the top, you know, anything like that. That is my gap and I'm blowing that bitch up. Spill and overlap is going to be ways to play like pullers or like lead fullbacks. And then bracket / vice / box is another way to play pullers and insert lead fullbacks. It's just different ways to fit on them. Okay, so this is basically like what I mean. So charging gaps would be like we're just playing our gap no matter what. So I'm just not going to pull anybody yet. It's going to be, I am running through, right? I'm whatever here, I'm here, right? I am trying to get penetration. It doesn't matter if they pull people or anything like that. They lead up through, I am running through my gap. Okay. I can be super aggressive. It doesn't matter. Okay. Spill and overlap. So I'll talk about that more when I get to the 8-man spacing stuff. Okay, here would be 3x1, right? But it's all the same shit, right? Corners man, stars man, free safeties man, corners man, Here's our 6 gaps. We got 7 in the box. I got a chat thing. I don't know how to read it. Can you tell me what it says?
He's asking if you could show the back-to-back and echo again.
Back-to-back and echo. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's draw zone real quick. So let's say here's zone going this way. Here's gaps. Here's gaps. And again, these guys could be lined up different ways, right? Here's gap. Here's gap. So back-to-back is I'm bringing 2 guys off the edge back-to-back. So this is the only time I like mesh charge. Any other time that I mesh charge, this guy gets too high, and then the running back wind back is what kills you, okay? So this is really the only time I like straight mesh charge at the quarterback is when I'm doing back-to-back type stunts. If I don't have enough guys to do back-to-back, I don't like mesh charge. So it would be zone this way, whatever they're doing, inside, wide, mid, whatever zone is going on in here. Here would be back-to-back. 2 guys off the edge back-to-back. He's got the running back. He's got the quarterback if he pulls it. Does that make sense? Hopefully. Echo is just switching. He's up for the quarterback and he's underneath for the running back. And honestly, those are just terms that I learned from Flexbone guys. That was just Flexbone guys that I learned Flexbone stuff from. That's what they called those. So that's what I called those. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. Okay. All right. So 8-man spacing. So this is going to be 1 high stuff usually, right? Or if we're playing 2 high, but trying to fit it like 1 high, which you see a decent amount of people trying to do. So if we're playing quarterback zone read, they're running the quarterback. I don't have enough guys. So I'm going to have to quote unquote steal gaps somehow. What does that mean? Steal gaps to me means I'm going to play 2 gaps with 1 guy without legitimately 2 gapping him, right? Now, that obviously is an option, but I don't always have horse daddies that can do shit like that, right? If you don't have cats that can just kick somebody's ass and play 2 gaps at the same time, you can't legit 2 gap. You have to steal gaps and play 2 gaps with 1 guy. Here would be examples. So squeeze and pop. So this is a technique that you see a lot with the DN. I'll talk bend and chase real quick too. Bend and chase is the same kind of idea with the DN and the linebacker. Most people call this scrape exchange. Okay. So here would be zone read. So zone read going this way. Okay. D-line are in their gaps. Let's see, gap, gap. Okay, linebacker, we're in 1 back, 1 gap. So I know their alignments aren't great right here, but they have whatever the open gap is on their side. Okay, here's what squeeze and pop means. So again, like we talked about, we could get this, the wind back of the running back, especially if it's like tight inside zone, or the quarterback keeping it outside and they're splitting him in half. And let's say they're throwing RPO shit out here where he has to be out of the fit, right? Because again, it's going back to I am covering people, okay? I want to cover people. So this would be what manipulating the run fits means to me. If I manipulate the run fit guy, I'm either going to say it's run, fuck coverage. Coverage doesn't matter. You go play run. They pull it, they throw the bubble, they're on the perimeter. We got to beat blocks and tackle in space. I have lost too many games that way. So that is why I had to get away from doing stuff like that. Another example would be this guy. Run action, come out of the fucking roof. You go play the quarterback. Well, that's fine until it's play action passed and they throw the post over your head, which again, I have lost too many games against when I do shit like this. So this is why I've had to change, just so you kind of see my thought process of why I had to go from manipulating the run fits of everything is blitz coverage. I don't care what we're playing to we got to cover people because we can't let them get in space. Kids are too athletic these days. Okay. So back to what squeeze and pop. Squeeze and pop is the technique you see from the DNs where they'll stab the hip, they'll squeeze down, deterring the cutback of the running back or the wind back, whatever you call it, and popping out to play the quarterback if he keeps it. we're quote unquote playing two gaps with this one guy. Does that make sense, Drew? I'm just looking at you. Okay. Bend and chase. Okay. So bend and chase would be, okay, let's say the nose is right here. So I only like to squeeze and pop if I have a closed B gap. And I really only like to bend and chase with the DN / most people call it scrape exchange to an open B gap. Okay. And you'll see why in a second. Okay. So bend and chase / scrape exchange is going to be, we're going to exchange gaps. So normally he's the B gap defender. He's the C gap defender. Problem that you run into trying to squeeze and pop against an open B gap is this kid gets washed down and there's too much space. Okay. So when we've squeezed and popped with an open B gap, he can climb instantly to the linebacker. And then the cutback lane right here is fucking huge for the running back. And it puts this kid in too much conflict of being able to fall in and tackle the running back, but also play the quarterback. So that's why I do not like squeeze and pop to an open B gap. I only like it to a closed B gap. I really, for the most part, only like scrape exchange, gap exchange, bend and chase DN, whatever, to an open B gap. Okay. Why? Okay. Reason being because I need to play thick on him and essentially play the B gap through his ass. So this is how I'm stealing the second gap, right? Because there's still two out here. There's two of the running back winding back, the quarterback keeping it outside. The linebacker's on the quarterback, and he is playing the wind back, cutback of the running back, but having body position, playing the B gap through the tackle's ass to take away the B gap. So if the running back's going to go right there, he should make the tackle, right? Well, if he tries to wind it back, he should still make the tackle. Like he's playing the C gap with his body, and he's playing the B gap with his body and his eyes. I said his too many times. Okay. The D end is playing the C gap with the D end's body, and he is playing the B gap with the tackle's body, while also playing the B gap with the defensive end's eyes. Hopefully that makes more sense, right? I'm quote unquote against stealing gaps. I'm playing two gaps with one guy. Okay. So that is what bending down the line and chasing down the running back is scrape exchange, gap exchange, things like that. You have to play super thick on the tackle, because if you don't, you'll get what I call the seventh dimension of this guy will wind back out and he'll block, base out, whatever you say, kick out the scraping linebacker. He'll bend down, tackle the running back, and the quarterback will go, oh, fuck, and cut it right back there. So that's what I call the seventh dimension cut of when the tackle veers down and then goes and bases back out the scraping linebacker, and the D end is too far down the line of scrimmage chasing the running back, giving this inside opening for the quarterback to cut it back. So I know this looks like a fucking little kid's drawing right here. Hopefully you can kind of see what I mean when I say that, but this is what you don't want, right? He gets here and then cuts it up in there. Okay. So that's why it's so important for this guy to play thick on him. And really, you don't want to leave too early and mash him down into the B gap so you can play that B gap through his ass and not allow him to climb to the scraping linebacker. Okay. That's the biggest problem that you get with the scrape exchange. Fill and fold. So fill and fold is going to be a way to basically two gap with the linebacker. So let's say we have this. He is pure quarterback player. He's not worried about playing the cutback of the running back. Okay. I'll talk about that in a second. Okay. Okay. Here's what fill and fold is. Okay. We're putting the read side DN purely on the quarterback. This is not a squeeze and pop. This is you come up field and you make him give the ball off, right? We're playing Lamar Jackson or something, okay? And we want the ball handed off. So the play side linebacker, he's going to, for lack of a better word, charge, plug, whatever his gap. He's trying to dent through the line and get penetration to cut the play off, okay, to force the cutback, okay? Reason being is we're expecting him to fold, overlap, whatever you want to say, back over the top into the wind back area for the running back, because we ain't playing this anymore. We are counting on him to cut the play off, right? They're running zone to the left. You have to beat the guard across his face, get penetration, and dent into the line to force the wind back of the running back, because we really don't have anybody playing this gap anymore. By hopefully doing so, they wind it all the way back, right? Which is going to take a little bit of time, hopefully allowing him to get all the way back over the top to play this wind back, cut back of the running back. And obviously, if they hand the ball off and he sees it, he can try to fall back down inside. Does that one make sense? Okay. Legit two gap is pretty self-explanatory. It's a kid legitimately playing, both A gaps, or an A gap and a B gap. And the kid is a Division I football player and better than anyone else on the field. And it doesn't matter where the running back's going to go, right? This kid is better than all 5 linemen combined, and he can play both of those gaps. And he really might be able to play this gap too. That's legitimately two gapping, right? D-line stunts. So this would be like random ones of ways that you could defend zone would be, let's say you'll see Georgia do this a pretty good amount, where they'll do stuff like this of like a tech stunt, or I guess we call this an eat stunt, my bad. The end goes first and the tackle wraps to play quarterback, right? And we're playing gaps. So that would be kind of a different way to, scrape exchange, gap exchange with D-line stunts, things like that. I mean, there's a whole bunch of D-line stunts, right, that you could do. This and, come underneath. Hopefully we cut the play off right here. That's more like, to me, like too high stuff, which we'll talk about. Okay. Spilling out. Okay. Gap scheme, man scheme. Okay. Here's an example of what spill and overlap looks like. Get all this shit off. Okay. Easiest way to basically think about it is against like a fullback. We'll just go on to the trips one. Okay. And I'm going to kind of move him into the backfield. So the H isn't there, and we'll say that the H is right here. Okay. So spill and overlap would basically be how you're going to take on the fullback. So if he's going through, we'll say I put him in a bad spot, but let's say he's coming over here. It would be this linebacker is going to spill it inside. He's going to overlap to play the outside. Here's our gaps for the D lineman and the linebacker. So this is spill and overlap right here. It's just, is the problem not having enough guys? No, we have enough guys, right? They have 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blockers. We have 7 defenders. We got enough guys. It's just, how do we want to fit it, right? Another way that you could do it is the bracket, box, vice, pullers, right? Would be he's here and we're outside on it. So this would be like bracketing an insert lead guy, vicing him. I don't remember the other one that I called, whatever I called it. Boxing. Okay. The same idea can get applied to linemen, right? So let's say it's like one back power, right? Do I want to box it? Sorry, he's there. Or do I want to spill and overlap, right? Like at this point, I'm just like giving you options of different ways to do it, right? Because is the problem the math? No, like we got enough guys. It's just, how do we want to fit it? Do we want to spill and overlap, or do we want to box it, vice it, bracket it, whatever you want to say. Again, D line stunts, would be one that I like against GT Reed, which to me is like the hardest play to defend. Kick out, and they're reading him. Okay. Would be line stunts of getting him across, like stuff like that, to get him out of this A gap. Because really, once they pull both of those guys, there's really only one A gap there, right? Like they pulled both of them. There's only a gap past the center, and now I got the nose and what we call the dash in the same A gap. Not good. I got two guys in the same gap. I need to fix the numbers somehow, right? So that would be one that I like against gap scheme in general. I'm not a big like stunt, chop, cut the front up type guy because we're middle of the field closed and we usually have enough guys all the time unless it's quarterback run. Okay. This is just different ways of rotating, right? Do I want to rotate weak? Get this off the screen. Do I want the weak safety rotated down weak? The free safety stays high. He's pushed out of the box to play RPO because, again, I want to cover people. If they throw this and they block and I max fit with him, he pulls and throws. They're on the perimeter, 2 blockers, 2 defenders. If I don't beat blocks, I lose. He has to be out of the fit playing, the bubble, the stick, the slant, whatever it is. We have to, quote unquote, stay 3-over-3 somehow, right? We need to defend / leverage the RPO because the problem isn't, I'm probably going off on a tangent here. Okay. Let's say it's 1 back power. Okay. And it's an RPO bubble or stick. I don't really care. Okay. The quarterback can't keep the ball, right? It's just a double option play. It's either he hands it off or he throws it. If it's, triple where they're reading the end, right? That's different. That goes back to like squeeze and pop type stuff, right? But the problem isn't I need this guy in the fit. I don't. They have 5 blockers. Here is my 6 defenders. I don't need him. I got enough guys. He needs to get the fuck out of the box and go play RPO, right? And run this shit down inside out, pursuit banana path, right? While they're trying to force it back into him. Okay. So the problem isn't the math of I need him in the box. It's really I need him out of the box because I can fit it with my 6 guys right here. Let's say that we box the puller. I have a guy in every single gap and I have stopped the RPO. Here would be the same idea of I rotated strong, but I can do the same thing. Instead of the Sam walked out of the box playing the RPO, now we rotated strong playing cover 3, cover 1, whatever it might be, and he is playing the RPO portion of the play. Right? I still have enough guys for stopping the run, assuming it's not quarterback run, right? If they're handing the ball off or throwing the RPO, I got enough guys. These guys need to play RPO. Does that make sense? I'm looking at you. Okay. Okay. All right. Here would be kind of the last part of this. 7-man space. So this is too high stuff. So options that you could use are, again, legitimately 2 gapping. Your kids are better than their kids, and they can play 2 gaps at the same time because they're freaks of nature, right? Float front. So this is stuff that Adam Gaylor talks about all the time. If you listen to him, like lag push type stuff. Example would be they're running zone this way. Okay. Gap. Let's say he's there. Okay. We'll do this. Okay. Basically, an example would be is that's not a good drawing. Okay. The nose is getting pushed right here by this double team, and he's allowing himself to get pushed inside of the A gap, right, into this A gap. Well, once this center climbs, to go block the Mike, there ain't no this A gap anymore. That A gap is gone. So this is another way to steal gaps of I'm allowing myself to get pushed into this A gap because once this center climbs, I'm playing both A gaps at the same time now, right? And the Mike can rock back, which we'll talk about in a second. So to me, that's like float front type stuff of we're going to basically play gaps through people's asses when they climb, right? He climbs, there's only one A gap now. I'm playing both A gaps. So that's float front stuff. Adam Gaylor is really, really good at that stuff at Jenks in Oklahoma. Rock back ball fit. Okay. So this would be I'm going to play the gap wherever the ball declares, right? We're playing middle of the field open, quarters, cover two. I don't care what it is. I am playing the integrity of the coverage. If it's middle of the field open, it's 3/2, 4/3, 2/1, right? That is middle of the field open. I don't care if it's quarters or cover two, whatever. I am playing 3/2. I am playing 3/2. I am covering people, right? Which means I don't have enough guys in the box anymore, right? I can't be +1 everywhere. Mathematically, that's not possible. So if they're going to hand the ball off, the running back could go here or the running back could go there. And I, as the linebacker, am going to have to fit off where the ball declares based on where he goes, which is going to be the complete opposite footwork of charging gaps, right? I can't go sticking my nose in there screaming into the line when I'm trying to fit off the ball, right? Because if I charge through here and it bounces out, well, I ain't got anybody there. Now, could we run it down for a 17-yard gain? Yeah, we could. That is not good, though. I don't want to live in a world of running everything down for 9-yard gains and 13-yard gains. That is not good defense. So I need to play laterally and fit off where he goes. So to me, that's ball fitting. Okay. Some people call it rock back, where he's moving here and then rocking back across. Okay. Squeeze and pop. We already talked about that. D-line stunts. We kind of touched on that already. Okay. Squeeze and pop, right, would be zone this way. I squeeze and pop out, and I'm going to have to steal gaps somehow over here because I still don't have enough guys, right? So it's going to be there's my guys or there's my gaps, and I'm going to have to ball fit off this while also squeeze and popping. So I need 2 guys stealing gaps. There's 7 gaps total with the quarterback running. I only have 5 in the box. I need 2 guys stealing gaps to even the math back. Does that kind of make sense? Okay. Gap schemes, again, same kind of stuff. Legit 2 gap. We could spill and overlap. Pullers, to me, if I am a 2-high team, I want to spill and overlap as much as possible because all of my support is outside on the perimeter, right? I have overhangs on both sides. Okay. So it's going to be, once I get out of all this, if I get like 1 back power like this, I know they might not pull the center, but I would want to spill this out to at least try to make it bounce to give myself a chance for one of these guys to fall back in, right? I don't necessarily want to live in that world, right? But that's much better than me not spilling it, getting outside of the puller and bracketing, boxing, vicing it, and I get creased right here. Well, I mean, we're fucked at this point. Like, they're all outside him. They're on the other side of the field. This is not going to be a good play for us, right? We're not winning that down. So if I'm a 2-high team, I want to spill as much as I possibly can with the linebackers to help push the ball outside to where all my support is. I think, the other one was D-line stunts. I kind of touched on this one would be, example would be like, I want to try to cut the play off here and then fold back inside, right? So this is one of those where it's like, let's say we're doing some shit like this, okay? We don't have anybody in this gap, but can the running back get out there? Ideally, no, right? We get penetration from him and we cut the play off. Well, there's no way it's going to go out there. So it doesn't matter that I don't have anybody in this gap. Is it always going to be perfect? No, it's not always going to be perfect. But again, I'm just throwing out options for you guys. Okay. Kind of the last thing, I think that was I think that was basically all of them. Whoa, I don't know what that is. 32. Yeah. Last thing I'll touch on, hopefully I'm not too far over, is going back to double rotation stuff of I don't want to set the 3 technique to the same side as the coverage rotation. So let's say it would be, we're playing quarters over here. It's now going to be, he's going to have to try to fit here and he's going to have to try to fit here, right? Well, I don't really want the safety having to fit all the way into the A gap, right? At least make him fit the B gap or play, heavy with the D end to where the ball gets kicked out. Or if I'm playing cover 2, right, and this is really my support player, there is no way in hell he is ever going to be able to fit in the A gap. There is no way. That is impossible. That is not going to get done. So I would want to make sure that that the front is set away, right? Here's here. He's got to fit the B gap. Yes. I mean, it's better than the A gap. It's not necessarily ideal. Could we play heavy with the D end to make it bounce outside? Yes. And if we're playing cover 2, we especially have to do that because, again, if we're this, is he going to get all the way to the B gap? No, it's almost never going to happen, right? So I'm going to need to be able to play heavy, thick, T-Gog, Jimmy Pony technique, whatever you call it, to get the ball kicked outside, right, and roll off the shelf like playing odd space to get it outside of the perimeter where my support player is. So basically, I like odd space if I'm a middle of the field open team because where is all my help? It's outside. I have overhangs, corners, whatever on both sides. That's where all my force is. And the ball is going to roll off when I say roll off the shelf, I mean it's going to roll or the ball's going to bounce outside. That's what I mean when I say roll off the shelf. Well, I want it to bounce outside and too high. That's where all my guys are. I don't really want it to bounce outside when I'm playing middle of the field closed. So just general thoughts. I like odd space in middle of the field open, and I like even space in middle of the field closed. That's just general thoughts that I have. Another last example would be, you'll see this happen to Bama a decent amount. Let's see. Let's say this guy's a 4-eye right here. This guy's not here, and they're playing mint. Okay, and he's a 4-eye, and this is their jack. Okay, so they're going to be super soft in the C gap, right? This happens to them a decent amount until they play people that figure it out, and then I'll show you the last answer for it. Okay, if they're playing quarters, so this would be like mint 4 mod stuff. They're playing trips over here, so they're playing stubby or stump, whatever, if you kind of know what I'm talking about. And they're truly playing 4/3. They are covering people. It is not manipulate run fits and say, you're in the fit, fuck it, it's blitz coverage on the run. We are not doing that. We are covering people because if we don't cover people, we are super susceptible to RPO. That is not good defense, right? We're not quote unquote triple option sound. I don't want everything to turn into blitz coverage on the run. If I want blitz coverage, then I just play blitz coverage, right? I don't want you to say, you're the half guy. Oh, but if it's run, also come out the roof on bubble. That is unfair to put on that kid. I am not going to do that. If I want that to happen, I just play blitz coverage. Okay. So we're playing 4/3 over here. We're playing coverage, RPO against stick, bubble, whatever, tunnel. I don't care what it is, key screens. We're playing 4/3, right? We don't have anybody in the C gap. So the whip or the will right here is either going to have to get all the way outside, which is a long ass ways to go. And the free safety is going to have to fit this interior A gap. That is not ideal. What is the problem? We have double rotated, right? We have set our closed C gap because it's odd space. I know my picture looks like shit, right? Where our second, our extra helper in the fitter is, or in the fit is, right? Much better would be, and this is assuming they're doing RPO like this, right? If he's not there, this is going to look better if I delete some shit. Of course, it was like the last thing I deleted. Okay. He's not there. 4i, 0, right? 4i. Okay. And then this is our jack. So this is not a guy. Sorry. This is not a guy. Okay. And I'm playing quarters again. God, that looks awful. Okay. 4/3. Here's my jack. Here's my 4i. Here's my nose. Here's my other 4i, right? There's going to be an opening somewhere in here, assuming the nose can't legitimately two gap. Here is the other opening, right? Because I set the jack away from my coverage rotation. I'm playing quarters over here, or I'm playing cover 2. And I can get one of these guys to play that C gap. Much more realistic for the kids. And he can play off the nose. Does that make sense? Okay. Only other option to me in my eyes would be play strong side rotation and middle of the field open. They call it a drop call. So that would be the strong safety basically playing as the walked out linebacker, the free safety over here playing as the strong safety. We play 4/3 still. My linebackers stay in the box. But problem is I'm purely one-on-one blitz coverage, no help man over there, which to me, in my opinion, comes down to if this kid doesn't need any help, I don't know why I'm playing a drop call when I could just play one high. If this kid doesn't need help, just play one high, and then I don't have to mess with any of this stuff. Just play one high and have enough guys all the time, assuming it's not quarterback run, right? But I know everybody's not one high people. To me, this is the best answer for if I'm a middle of the field open team and I want to keep linebackers in the box, not walked out, and I don't want to worry about double rotation as much as DBs go cover people. You guys stay in the box. All right. Hopefully I didn't go too long. Fuck, I went probably way over.
And how you're good. It's good stuff, man. I think good for everybody. I know I sent I forget who posted it on Twitter lately, but something about being a no coordinator, and it's like, what's the best thing you could do? And I said, learn defense. And I'd say like your stuff, like the Coach Tube course on this is awesome. And it's like, got to be how many hours long? Probably many hours.
Yeah. It's like 8 or 9.
Yeah. I mean, you'll learn a ton about that. And like, even as an offensive guy, it's good to know that stuff. Like, all right, you want to run an RPO? Well, you better make sure that you understand how run fits work, because you don't want to run an RPO into closed B gap, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't do you much good. So,
right.
So that stuff. But no, super appreciate you coming on, man. And look forward to all the good stuff you keep putting out.